Do you know anybody that's ever had prostate cancer?
Yeah.
Sometimes I wonder if the surgery is, really all that it's cracked up to be, or this type of treatment is all that it's cracked up to be, and people shouldn't just die naturally as opposed to taking the prostate procedure. So, with regards to this conflict, I mean, maybe surgeries and metastasis and cancers, these are terrible analogies for what's really happening, which is it's political. I mean, to me, this is like spear chuckers throwing spears at each other, and eventually there will be a resolution. But if you think there's going to be a regime change, I mean, I don't know what the real numbers are and what kind of resistance there is or the will to resist, because maybe the people there aren't, the type of people that want to resist in a bloody, violent struggle. So maybe this is really just decapitation of intelligence, and it's not a regime change operation, and it's more of just let's destroy the biggest threat, which is the nuclear threat, take out as much intelligence as we can, and then have a reset and a renegotiate. I mean, maybe this is just one of those things where people are being too dramatic about it.
Talk about metastasizing. Really, what they're talking about is that their, cousins, family, who, the Jordanian kingdom of Hazmat, the cousins, that they're gonna not be dictators anymore. That's what we're saying. We're saying that democracy will spread, and that's what happened in Egypt, right? With the Arab Spring.
You think democracy can spread amongst Islamists? I mean, how do you know you're not naive?
No, I mean, look, democracy.
How do you know you're not naive?
I'm with you. I understand. I don't have a better solution right now, right? But in the meantime, like you said, take up the news. Let them figure it out, just like Syria. But at least they don't have to get Iraq anymore.
Look at Iraq, look at Syria, look at Libya. None of these places.
None of this happened, sure.
Hold on, let me finish here.
Yep.
None of these places are better off. Even though I never liked these regimes, I didn't like Gaddafi, didn't like Bashir al-Assad, didn't like Saddam Hussein. All these places are worse off. I don't know if Iran will be better off, if this regime falls, because like John was talking about, these guys don't really want democracy. They don't really want it. They don't embrace this type of, culture, I guess, that we have. They don't want it. I don't really see Iran becoming a better place after they fall. I'm just saying, I don't ever see them going back to the Shah, to the 70s. I don't ever see it. I just don't. And the Bible kind of alludes to it. Like, they're probably not going to fall. They're going to attack Israel in some sort of capacity. I don't think they're ever going to be democratic, dude. That's not going to happen.
I honestly don't care. Like, it doesn't matter. They're not my problem. They're their problem. And they're the rest of the world's problem.
Well, if you're going to be possibly involved in something.
It's probably to govern the whole region. That's what we're getting used to.
The idea that there's a liberation for Iran, I just don't agree with that. That's naive. I think just to think that it's just purely military and political ambition. I don't think that this is an attempt at freeing civil liberties. I don't agree with that at all. I think it's naive to.
What's the ambition then? What's the objective?
Well, it's quite clear. I mean, apart from Russia and China, apart from Russia and China, who's like legitimate superpowers, this will be considered the only appropriate threat to tackle at this current moment in time. With enough justification and framing, it would be considered a just war from the Western lens. So I think this would be an appropriate, adequate time to tackle. That's what it is. I don't think that.
The U.S. to be control of the area.
Control. I don't think control. I think destabilization. I don't think control is necessary. Once they want control, I don't think they need control. As long as they lose control, they're in control.
So we're destabilizing it. That's a good thing, right?
But what's the problem? I think. So I think this is the problem. I think ultimately the two sides are having a war via proxy, right? And the both sides are fighting directly. A war by now they fight directly, but I mean for a long time it's been a war via proxy, and a lot of the proxies has been questionable, shady organizations, and that goes for both sides. We have to
not paying the bill, right? So they're done. They're sick to pay the bill. Israel doesn't have a proxy.
Yes,
Yes,
they do. Yes, they do.
What is Israel's proxy?
I mean, Netanyahu is. I mean, he came out the other day and said, he's essentially created a proxy within Gaza. He's funded an organization that is. I don't want to say the name terrorists, but I mean they are terrorists.
I thought we were talking about Iran. What do you know? So Netanyahu funded people. Wait. Netanyahu funded groups to distribute aid out of the army. Right. You don't stole it.
No. Right. But who are those people that he's employed?
Guys, but let's go to Iraq. We're talking about hang on. When did Israel fight Iran by proxy? When did Iran fight when did Israel fight Iran by proxy? Never. Like directly.
I think Israel is not fighting all its battles, and anyone that fights with them would be considered a proxy, right?
Israel is not fighting all its battles?
I mean, okay, I'll ask a question, and it'll help me understand this.
No, I want to understand what you're saying. Wait, no, I don't want to.
I'll clarify.
You made a statement. I'm going to ask you. You made a statement.
Right.
Israel has a proxy. What is Israel's proxy in the war with Iran?
I'll explain. One question will explain to me whether they have.
Not one question. What is Israel's proxy? So not. I don't want a question. What is Israel's proxy?
That's the problem.
Yeah, no, it's not the problem. It's
We always seem to get here with you.
Can we maybe hear from a new speaker instead of Aziz? Madhu has been asking to speak.
Yeah, let's go ahead. You think about it. You think about it, Aziz. It's okay. You're going to get over it.
I haven't been able to finish what I would say once.
Okay, thank you, Aziz. Thank you. Do you have any last points? No, you have any last points?
Do you want to know how desperate Iran? How desperate Iran is? Now the Ayatollah, the leader of Iran, called Hamas to help them. Hamas, he called them to help them. That's how desperate.
You know what? It's becoming an echo chamber.
Echo chamber.
It's becoming an echo chamber.
No one left.
Aziz, you are the echo chamber. I hate to break it to you.
Yeah. I'm the only person that comes in.
Now let's speak. Okay, what is your opinion, Aziz? Let's hear your conclusion.
Can I? Yeah. So right. So if I could, formulate a coherent response, that'd be great. So, like I said, there seems to be generalization being made. This is generalization. Correct me 1 second, please. I use words like seems to be just to account for the fact that some people may disagree. So this is just my interpretation. Right? So I'll be very careful with how I say this. So there seems to be an understanding that Iran is the great threat, right? And liberation is the only approach, right? We have to liberate these people. 85% of the people disagree with the state. And I mentioned it before, I go back to the great liberations of America, right? Especially in the modern era, there's been pushback. And I look at it may even be justified.
The great liberations? You said there were no liberations just 10 minutes ago.
Are we just gonna...
Is this like a poem or something? Why don't you just make a...
Hello. The queen herself is here.
Okay, everybody quiet for 1 second. Aziz, okay, you landed now. Yeah.
Do you know what?
No, guys, if you interrupt Aziz,
They spoke for 10 minutes.
if you interrupt, you're under a misimpression. You're interrupting. This is about, you're under our moderating now. You're under the misimpression that this is about liberating the Iranian people. Well, can I make my point? You're gonna have to wait. This is to remove the terror prisoners. Anyways, all right. That's an echo chamber. All right. War.